welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben. I'm joined here by Dylan and Brian, and we are here to break down episode number 4 of Survivor 43. Are you guys flexing because it's like Guys Fall 2022 because they only vote out women on this season apparently?
Yeah, exactly. Finally, the men get to have their turn.
Yeah, finally on Survivor. Yeah. Jeff is like, this season's going great. I love it.
Although, I mean, unfortunately, the person tonight did it to themselves. But yeah, guys, let's go.
We have we have 2 subsequent female winners for the first time in like 9 years in Survivor, and the players are like, all right, that's enough. Fucking shut this off.
Absolutely not. No Canadians, no women.
Yeah.
This is it.
About time that we have our time. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It also very hilarious, now we're getting into this. Like, all 3 tribes, I think, started with the whispers of women's alliances, and all 3 of those did not last. So
it is what it is,
Yeah.
I'm not sure where certain alliances are at on most tribes anyway. Along the all women's.
Yeah, I think the only I think the only one that I'm a little confused about is Vessi, but otherwise I think we have a pretty good. I at least feel like I have a pretty good feel of what's going on. But yeah, I guess we could start out. There wasn't like a ton before the reward challenge. I don't know if you guys had anything you wanted to cover in that little segment. It's mostly just like kind of people. I guess an interesting Cody line confessional where he talks about the 3 most important things to him are his girlfriend and then pizza and beer. Which that's on par for what we've gotten so far from Cody.
Tough to argue that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good 3 right there. He's just very fun as a character. I enjoy him. I really enjoyed on Baka, I believe is the name of the Yellow Tribe. They're just done with Gabler, and they can't vote him off, and it's so funny. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is like, if we're going to have twists which basically make a person immune for like N rounds until they eventually go to a tribal council, and like everyone has to like know it and like sit in that kind of like. I guess this is an interesting outcome of that, where you have just one person that everybody despises, and you have to sit there. It's like somebody having immunity for a round, but that round lasting like 10 days.
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know why he thought like, oh, I should put palm fronds on my tribe mates. That's a good idea, but I'm glad he thought that way.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of decisions during this episode were perplexing to say the least. I will say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Ellie kind of had a bit of a bounce back episode here where she didn't say anything particularly confusing or delusional, and that ended up being reserved at the end for Lindsay. So we have.
I think that's only because she didn't really get the airtime today for her to have the ability to say it.
Yeah, I feel like the editing this season is very odd. I don't know if you guys have noticed this too, where it feels like every episode they're focusing on like 5 people, and like there's a lot of like scenes and a lot of like camp scenes and stuff that we're getting and like conversations. But as far as like people like leading the storytelling, it's very kind of top heavy.
Yeah, I think there's no better example of that than last episode when it seems half the internet realized Cassidy was on the show, which is fair. But I definitely know what you're saying. They've definitely picked the people you want to highlight, which is too bad. Like, we didn't get Eddie Owen at all in this episode, which I like Owen, so like, I wanted to hear where he's at. In the previews, it seems like he might have more to do in the next episode, so maybe they're just saving it for that. But very weird editing.
I think they also have to take advantage of still bad on the tribe names on Blue Tribe, like not really having a whole lot of airtime going into this episode. Also, other than Carla, who seems to be the edit queen so far.
Yeah.
We might be getting like the either the winner or kind of like the final person that's going to be getting out that it has a real shot to win it type thing.
Or they'll trick us like with Shen and be like, oh, they're just like a middle merge boot. It's like, huh, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear at this point that Carla's at least going to be a major, figure in the season, whether she's the winner or not. But yeah,
oh, go ahead then.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we could have the twist last year where like we just keep getting edits once a week of who we think's gonna win, and then it just ends up being that person voted out, like we did last season.
Mm-hmm. The
Well, that's
inherited
usually
winner edit.
Yeah, that's usually what you get when you have like kind of an out of nowhere woman who wins. But if we keep on the path we're getting, the final 12 is, or the final 9, right? It's 9, yeah. Final 9 will be men, so I don't think that'll end up happening. But yeah, it's interesting. Talking about Cassidy too. Cassidy finally went to a tribal council and still basically barely on the episode. Something that I brought up when we were talking about the premiere with regard to Cassidy was like the confessional or two that they focused on for her in the premiere was like really good setup for like explaining an under the radar game, like an under the radar social game, which is something that the show has historically struggled with. And I was like, potentially like, cautiously optimistic that they might actually have figured out how to edit that archetype correctly. But nope, they went straight to just completely ignoring her, except for a couple of key scenes here and there, right after those confessionals set her up. So, yep.
Yeah. So I mean, other than that, not much more to say from the pre-challenge.
No, be nice to Gabler. He was just trying to help. He was just trying to provide warmth.
Yeah.
It's so mean.
It's a very good example of he's obviously very smart in a specialized area, but is like example of like intelligence, not necessarily like if you're intelligent in one area, you're not necessarily intelligent in all areas, and he certainly doesn't seem to be socially intelligent at all.
It reminded me of that meme of like when you sleep over your friend's house and he doesn't give you blankets and you just start using like random objects.
Oh man, that would be so good. That would yeah, tweet that right now. That'll pop on Twitter.
I can almost guarantee that I would feel warmer with the palm tree on me. It's just natural.
I think maybe yes, but like if I was asleep and I felt like someone putting a palm thing on me, I'd be like, what is happening? Why is this happening? Like, Gabler.
He's like, there's no ants.
Yeah, there's no ants. As if you could tell in the dark.
Also, like, how do you know?
Yeah, there's no ants. That's not the problem.
Yeah, like it's annoying. It rustles. So like you literally like twitch and it's going.
Yeah.
Right in your ear. It's like there's a lot of issues with it for sure. And they're pretty much explicitly telling you do not put the palm fronds on us as you're doing it several times. And then you're like, oh, do you not want the palm fronds? Yeah, motherfucker, I said it 3 times already.
Oh man. Yeah, Gabler, awesome. Unaware king.
Yeah.
Oh,
again, the real kicker for the tribe is like, if you need it to be summed up for you, Sammy, who is 19 years old and still needs his mom to drive him around, is like by.
At least he was nice enough to accept it. Ellie wanted no part of it.
He's the one with like enough social grace to be like, oh, thanks, man. Well, inside being like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Then just
he always talk shit behind his back.
Yeah, which is what you should do on Survivor. So credit to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. we got something we don't usually get now on modern seasons of Survivor, which is a pre-merge individual or a pre-merge separate reward challenge. Usually especially in these recent seasons, what they've been doing is having these twists, these like send them off to Shipwreck Island twists, fill in the reward challenge kind of time slot, and then doing a combined reward immunity. But we just no twists really this episode. Just like the good old fashioned pirates steal and plunder.
Yep. It made me miss Sandra in Pearl Island stealing from the Morgan tribe.
Yep.
Yeah. So this challenge was weird to me. Just like 90% of the challenge is just one person.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, the three of you just throw little bags onto the platforms. It's a very weird setup for a challenge. Like, why not have someone knock it off, someone else do the walking block thing, and then maybe the last two do the throw the bags. I don't know what you guys thought of that.
Yeah, I do think it was nice to kind of get back to an old school, way that the episodes formed, with having the reward and then obviously going into immunity after. I agree. The challenge is kind of weak though. I feel like it was also kind of like you blink and it's over type thing. And then I was also a little confused on afterwards of how much they were actually able to steal. But yeah, like I prefer this template of having reward and then immunity after. So I liked it. I just wish like you said, the challenge was a little bit stronger. I'm almost at the point now where, like I said, you blink, it's over. Like I can't even remember what happened for the most part, other than who won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was kind of a runaway for most of it. Didn't really seem like the other two tribes really were kind of super in it for most of it. So it didn't really feel like it was like a down to the wire thing, like the immunity challenge kind of was to a degree. Obviously with the other drama that we'll get to, but definitely it's good that the Baka tribe, correct? Got a win. Is Baka or
sorry,
Vessi?
Baka's the yellow tribe.
Baka is yellow.
Vessi?
Vessi is red.
Yeah, Vessi.
I nod with whatever.
I just know Coco was. I knew
Coco's
was blue.
blue. Yeah. That's why I
Okay.
get the blue behind me, because they lost this one.
Mm.
But good for them. They needed this very badly. I can't imagine how low their morale was after 2 straight tribal councils, and in that it's probably 4 days now with the current format, maybe 3.
Yep.
Where they just don't have flints. They didn't keep their fire going for this whole time. It's probably pretty miserable on that beach.
Yeah, and definitely, I guess they were rewarded to a degree for voting out NECA, given that they won both challenges. They came in first in both challenges. So, whether or not it's kind of like results oriented thinking or whatever, but definitely seemed like that vote out wasn't in vain for the people who struggled with it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I guess we can move on to the pillaging. They had to pick somebody to go pillage an item. And what are you guys' thoughts here on like the strategy here? Like, do you want to emotionally and physically cripple the other team, and potentially piss off 5 to 6 other people permanently for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I would have just tried to sell it as much as possible, being like, "Hey, we just picked this. We drew randomly. I'm going to take whatever." I did think it was smart to go after the machete first, and then because he ended up getting way more than he came for. Obviously, with the food, he got the limes, and he got the fishing kit. What was the root? Is that like
sweet potato? I think he said.
I'm so like covered in dirt. I couldn't tell. So that was a great move for him. I don't know. I also think now we're at the point with what happens in the rest of the episode. I don't even think that'll even come back at all further in the game. That like, hey, you came in and took our fishing gear. And that's what I mean too. I was a little confused on how much he could take when he first went in there. I wasn't sure if it was one item because then he left with like 3 different things technically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like the dynamic of that. It could affect you later on, but I think it's still too early for it to matter, really.
Yeah, I definitely think that you probably shouldn't take the machete just on principle of like, one, you don't know if there's going to be a swap. There's probably not. We know now, but like you don't know, and you could end up on that beach without a machete, and then you, like you said, Ben, make everyone mad. I do think if he had gone there and said like, okay, I just want the fishing gear, that's all he would have gotten. So I think like he was only supposed to take one thing, but it was like, well, he's not taking it technically. They're giving him all this other stuff. So I think that's kind of like the producers were like, this is good. This is like good content. We're not going to step in here because they're doing their own thing, you know? So kudos to him. If that was his plan from the beginning, like he said it was, to like subtly manipulate them. And then still when he leaves, they're like pretty happy because they didn't lose the machete.
I did like Carlo at the end being like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah.
He left with way more than he came for.
He finessed them so hard.
They were all like, oh yeah, you're right, he did.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You gotta watch out for those salespeople.
He told us in the first episode you can't trust salespeople. And
He's not wrong.
Yeah, he's living up to it.
Yeah. What he really meant is you can't trust me.
Yeah, he's being Littlefinger. Yeah, no, this is great. Cody's great. Really enjoying him on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say, I think that, just as an aside, I do think that Jeff did an interview pre the show filming where he explicitly said that the season wasn't going to have a swap. So I think the information was technically out there for the players to come in and know that. I don't know why that happened. It seems stupid to me.
Bad. Yeah, you don't want that.
But yeah, so I do think that they, at the very least, are operating under the knowledge or the assumption that there's not going to be a swap. So I don't
it's so funny that like we went through like era like early Survivor, no swaps, and like they added it as a twist, and then like we got to like a mid era where there's like we're gonna swap them, we're gonna divide them into 3 tribes, we're gonna bring them back for another swap, and now we're back to the no swap. Like we've come full circle on Survivor, and maybe they're not swapping intentionally to set it up for whatever season they do a swap to actually get the castaways to be like surprised by it.
So you think they'll merge at 12?
13 is what they've been doing recently.
13, yeah,
well,
13.
It depends whether you count the vote that they don't consider to be part of the merge.
That's
as the
stupid.
merge.
Yeah,
I
So
do. If they're all on one beach to me and they're all voting,
I agree. But Jeff would semantically disagree.
Lydia made the merge. Damn it.
She did.
Yeah. She had a very funny tweet last week where she's like, wait, do I have to tweet about Survivor every Wednesday for the rest of my life?
Yeah. my girl, Lydia Chlamydia is still killing it on Twitter.
Always.
Yeah, so that's I think they like the 3 tribes all merging together without a swap, and like the kind of chaos that brings.
Yeah, no, it's not bad for sure. It's a good way to do it for sure.
Yeah, I definitely prefer because I prefer that than people getting swap screwed. Like I swaps can be fun, but like there's like too many historical instances of people getting swap screwed and like they're not really making a great story.
I mean, there's so many people through the history of Survivor. It's like, what if, all the way back, to Survivor Africa, what if there's no swap? Does Baran potentially run it down? Because they were kind of, does Samburu run it down? They were kind of, I think, in the, if I had to pick at that moment who is the better tribe in terms of physical strength, I would have said them. So it really changed the game there. And then you get so many people who've been screwed through the years and then also saved through the years. Like Spencer on Second Chance, he's drawing completely dead and gets so saved by a swap. And yeah, he finishes in tied for second, but like way better than, you know, whatever it would have been 17th place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I guess you know, from my perspective, I like the like idea of like, oh, I'm gonna threaten you. I'm gonna like kind of casually threaten you. Oh, you know, I feel like I'm gonna take the machete. And then they're like, no, please, we'll give you anything.
Yeah.
Here, take our fishing set, take all of our food, take our firstborn child. Just don't take the machete.
Oh,
Take
man.
Lindsay.
Take Lindsay, yeah. I like. What did you guys think of their shelter of being on the beach? Is that good? Should you sleep on the beach?
Well, it depends on the types of critters
Yeah.
that are afoot.
Let's say that normally the worry is that like the animals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I would definitely feel more comfortable sleeping on the beach. Absolutely.
Yeah, than in the woods for sure.
Mhm.
But like, I would at least want to be up off the ground personally. But maybe it seemed like they had a nice setup with what they had. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. I think like barely like kind of on the line between the beach and the jungle is probably like the play. Yeah.
no water coming up, and then
Yeah. No like no all-stars coffin. The flood would kill you.
you you want to be off the ground, but at the very least, you don't want to be below the ground. Is the what we learned in Survivor All Stars. Never forget.
Yeah. I guess what before the immunity challenge, like there wasn't like a ton of other stuff to go through really.
I really don't think there was a whole. I still think it was another like good passable episode. I just don't. There really wasn't a whole lot up until the final like 15-20 minutes.
Yeah,
At least not really not like gameplay wise, other than the plundering we just talked about.
Yeah. It felt like a lot of marking time, kind of like setting up things that are going to happen down the road and situations.
Because we didn't even really get like, even with the time we were getting with Coco, and like the buildup of like Geo being kind of thinking that he's running the show. I think it's just between that and us not having the time with them really before this. There's just like there really was like nothing else other than the theft and Gabler putting the palm trees on people to kind of go off of. Like I said, still another like solid episode, but just not a whole lot of wackiness like we were getting last week.
Yeah, so I guess we can talk about the immunity challenge.
Yeah. First thing I want to say, real poorly designed immunity challenge. In my opinion.
Well, I was about to say, like, these types of puzzles, I'm not good at them at all. I don't have, like, the spatial reasoning skills for these types of puzzles. So, Ben, I know you're much better at puzzles than I am. Was this, like, an easy version of this or difficult? What do you think?
I mean, it's hard to tell because you're not, like, physically moving the pieces yourself. But, like, and like also they kind of showed the solution beforehand, so it's kind of spoiled. So I didn't really get a chance to like solve it myself. But it definitely looked like it shouldn't have been as like because obviously the point is it looks hard or it looks easy because it's only 4 pieces, but it's actually hard. But it didn't look like it should have been as hard as it was. But maybe like the size of the pieces plays a role where you can't really get like as like wide of a view of what you're working with as like we can at home because we have like a wide shot with the camera, floating in the sky. So maybe that's kind of plays a factor into it. But yeah, I don't know. The big issue I have with the challenge is like, we kind of like yada yada over the fact that they do like we're gonna draw for spots situation in a lot of challenges, and usually it's kind of like doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because unless it's like a very long endurance challenge post merge and like there's stun and wind at play and there's like kind of separate areas where it's slightly better, like it usually has no bearing at all in the challenge. In this, the team in the middle is an enormous advantage, and I don't know why they didn't kind of think that through.
Mhm.
Being able to so easily see both of the other teams solving the puzzle when it's so easy to cheat. Yeah.
Although the team in the middle was the one that blew the biggest lead, right? And almost lost and came in second too.
True.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. But well, yeah, we'll obviously get but to the helping, but like I don't know, it feels like even if they weren't you know helped, right? All you have to do is like have one person like hyper focused on the puzzle and
Mhm.
another person like kind of helping and also keeping an eye on the other team. And like as the tribe in the middle, whichever of the outer tribes finishes first, you have the advantage of cheating off of them and being able to just like copy it. Because it's a 4-piece puzzle. It's like very easy to quickly look at it. Like even if they knock it down quickly, it's very easy to look at it quickly and
Yeah.
get at least like 2 of the pieces, which is going to give you an enormous advantage.
Yeah.
So
Or
I don't know.
like the other two people who weren't involved in the
Yeah,
puzzle, maybe
exactly.
just like, yeah,
Yeah.
you watch that tribe, I'll watch this tribe. You two try to
Yeah.
figure it out, and like we'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah, so
That's a good point.
I don't know. It feels like it felt very poorly thought out. I think it's almost impossible for the tribe in the middle to lose unless they just kind of throw. So
Right. So what do you guys think of the helping?
I was fine with it. I think especially too taking down I think the superior team in Coco, who obviously hasn't had to go to tribal yet. You're kind of for red team Baku
Fessy.
Baka
Bessie.
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 Yeah.
For them to take the fishing gear and the food, as well as also being able to take their flint afterwards and knock them out. I think that's a win-win for them. But then obviously, I think just for yellow, you're doing. I gotta like study these names before.
So
You're
yellow,
just
that's
looking.
fine.
You're just looking. Like I said, to just keep the numbers down because they're down to 4 or 5 now.
5, yeah, 5 for yellow,
So
4 for red, and all 6. Well, now
and
5.
and, and red, you're just obviously you need to win. So I'm fine with it. It's I think like for me personally too, I was probably rooting for Blue to lose, just or Coco to lose, just so we can get the screen time with them, which paid off tenfold. So I'm fine with it. Absolutely, I can see being pissed about if you're on their team about
Yeah.
that. Especially with what Ben's saying of the team in the middle definitely having the advantage. So I get both ways, but as a viewer, yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I think it just created more conflict, which was nice. And hopefully, I feel like that's definitely going to be something that creates more conflict down the road, maybe than it would be with the stealing of the fishing equipment and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree. Anything that creates conflict and drama is like going to be good for me. And yeah, I agree. I think this is kind of like what I meant when I said that this is kind of like a setup episode for the future, where we're probably going to get 1, maybe 2 more rounds before a merge. So we're like really kind of setting up for a merge now. So this is going to be really fresh in people's minds when we get to that merge of like, oh, these 2 tribes work together against this 3rd tribe, like very blatantly. So like I assume that will at least like be brought up, if not like play a role in the strategy at the merge.
Because they were visibly upset too, so it's not like it was.
Okay, yeah, this was so dumb for me in my opinion. This was huge cope. They were so far behind. Like they're lucky they were even in that challenge to begin with. Like this idea of like, oh, they didn't earn it. They got handed the win. It's like it took you like a solid 5 extra minutes to do the first puzzle, and you're like talking over here like you guys were like so far out in the lead or something. No, it was at best a tie. like you probably were going to lose a challenge regardless. So like I don't know. This was they were the fact they were acting like they had their win stolen from them is like it seemed like cope to me.
Agreed.
I also would just wonder if they come off to, especially like seeing that, if they come off to the other tribes, as like they think that they're the superior tribe, especially now having all the people, things like that. So I like it. Knock down the power and start balancing things out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I like how you put that. It seemed like cope. It did seem like cope, where they were like, "Oh, if we didn't have that happen, we would have won." We're like, we watched you guys put this together before.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That's 100% me. I would have been like, "Fuck, I had it."
Yeah. Damn it! That's so close.
Yeah. If only the tribe died, and then we would have won.
So that's one thing I do want to bring up, and it kind of continues our conversation on from last week too about the future of Survivor. Is when I was watching this challenge, because like I said, these challenges are really they're really not you don't really get that into it. It's more so you're just waiting to see who wins rather than actually appreciating what's going on. And I was like studying Jeff, and I was like, wow, Jeff looks really old. Especially like in this challenge where the sun was in, I'm like, wow, Jeff has really aged, especially because the most recent seasons I've watched have been newer seasons. And so I got to like thinking to myself of because we talked about last week about like the future Survivor and them having to adapt and all that. And I feel like it's almost, for me, I feel like it almost has to turn over and host at some point if they're going to eventually keep going. And I was curious of what your guys' opinion is of who would be a good former player to take over hosting for Jeff. I have mine. I'll hear your guys' first.
I can think of a few. So if Ben, you have one off the top,
and also like your take too. If you think that Jeff would ever step down.
Well, I mean, he's like 62-ish now.
That old? Wow.
Yeah, he was 40 in Borneo in the first season. I mean, he's a very handsome man, so it didn't show that he was 40 back then. And obviously, he's like kept it tight, worked out and probably gotten work done over the years to keep those dimples. But he is getting old, and I did think about that this episode too. It's so funny that you say that, where it's like, how long is Jeff gonna do this for? Like, how is he like Tom Brady? Is he gonna die on that island? Like Tom Brady's gonna die on the field? Who knows?
Yeah, I thought a similar thing when Coco finished their first puzzle and they had to call him like 3 times. He was like, oh, wait, hold on. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, they didn't think that through.
Yeah.
Jeff.
We didn't really think about. We didn't think of somebody who could be this far behind.
Yeah. Oh man, but Ben, do you have someone?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of names have like been thrown around when this topic comes up. I think that like, if you put a gun to my head, I'd probably say Parvati.
Yeah.
I think Parvati would probably be the best.
Yep, I think it will be Boston Rob. But I would say Parvati, Sandra, Suri. It's probably the big 4 that I could see realistically taking over. Cochran, maybe, if he wants to.
I don't think Cochran would do it.
No, he has a writing career that he's worried about. I think, obviously you have Boston Rob is like the all-time favorite of Jeff. Kobe Donaldson, maybe also. I mean, he hosted a show in a very similar fashion with what was that called? Top Shot, right?
Top Shot in the History Channel is a gunslinging reality TV game.
And he definitely modeled his hosting off of Jeff from the few episodes I saw of that. But like, I think, Parv would just be great. She's an awesome, host. We've seen it on various hosting gigs that she's done. I'd like Suri as like the epitome of, the person who got off the couch and then became an iconic survivor. That'd be great. Sandra's obviously the queen. That'd be awesome. And then, like I said, Rob would, I think he'd do a good job too. And he also, I feel like, has been kind of sticking around. I think he hosts that celebrity renovation show now that he was like on as a celebrity last season. So he's definitely like still in with CBS very well.
Yeah, I think Andrea also is a dark horse. But
Andrea could be good for sure. Yeah,
I don't know if that's like So Dylan, what's your person?
So I agree with Parvati. So it seems like that's kind of like the one that we all were.
If Parv got the job, I don't think anyone would be upset. Like any Survivor fan.
I also feel like if we were to switch over, it's almost like a lock that it has to be either a woman or a person of color. I don't think they'll go back to another just unless it's Boston Rob, just another stereotypical white guy.
Right.
I would say my dream would be Penner, just because I'm a big fan. My knowledge of him now, I don't think that he would do it. Another one that I thought would be really, really good, and he actually hosts the show. Also, would be Wendell.
Wendell would be really good.
I think Wendell would also be a pretty good, like kind of. He could give off the same vibes of Jeff, while also bringing his own new thing, because they both have like that same sense of humor. And I think he also just really appreciates the game. I also thought of like back in, like I was like maybe Malcolm, and then like the obvious
Malcolm
one,
could be a good one. Yeah.
Boston Rob. I think Malcolm just because he's younger. But my top was Parvy and Wendell. So that was
Survivor owes Wendell for how dirty they edited him in Winners at War. That was so rude.
Yeah.
They did not need to do that.
I do. It didn't even play into the storyline.
Yeah.
It really did, and they really just built him in as like this. He was just this piece of shit that broke up with Michelle. It was like I really felt bad. I do like I guess the logistics of it too is like it's much different now than it was back then, because seemingly they're never going back to doing live announcing of winners. I don't think that it just seems like they're not going back to that. I'd be really surprised if they do that again this year. And then also, I guess, like, so now Jeff basically has built his own like compound in Fiji. So it's like, you figure you're there 3 months out of the year. He brings his family. I'm sure he has his own house. He probably has more than enough amenities there. So I guess I do wonder if it's something that he would ever give up. But
I can see him maybe taking like he's there, but he's just like a producer and let someone else do the day-to-day grind of hosting. But I mean, hey, I don't think Survivor's going anywhere. I think because of all the stuff you just mentioned, it's in Fiji, it's back to back. It's they're not really breaking the budget for their challenges, as we've seen. And then it's still only $1 million. Like, I know, only $1 million is a life-changing amount of money, but like it was $1 million 22 years ago also, so it's less money now. And it's just like a very consistent show. Like, yeah, it goes down in ratings, but like everything on TV is going down, and it's not like dropping in a way that's like different from the general like how people are watching live TV these days.
And it did get that resurgence from COVID too, with people like me.
Yeah,
of people that were diving into it. So and that probably honestly extended its lifetime a little bit. So, but that's funny that you thought that. There's something about Jeff this episode. I was like, I don't even think it was necessarily his demeanor or anything like that. It seemed like he didn't want to be there. It was just like I was like, wow, this guy he's getting out there in age.
He's getting up there. Yeah, it's sad, but all good things, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think he'll be through at least 50 through season 50. I think that like there's an outside chance that he might call it after 50. But I know people have said people said that he might call it after 40 and he didn't. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think 40 re-energized him a lot with having all the winners out there. Yeah. I think he was like,
I was gonna say that awesome. That's a great point too. If he didn't retire at 40, then he's definitely gonna retire at like 44.
Yeah, you'd think he'd like
he's gonna go for the monumental quarter century or half century. Yeah, that makes sense.
50, yeah, that's gonna be crazy. They're definitely gonna do something big for 50. You have to assume.
Well, what if before the season Jeff announces this will be his last season, and then the 50 is like a big legend season, and they're like, all right, the winner of 50 it becomes the new host of Survivor. You win the hosting gig.
That'd be something. That'd be very interesting.
That'd be awesome. It's like this is like $5 million, 10-year contract to be the host of Survivor going forward.
It's something about it is almost very like dystopian, like though. I don't know, just like to hear that out loud. It's like I don't know. It's like even like it's like Willy Wonka. It's like there's like it's just there has to be something nefarious behind it.
Oh man, I love that. Also, maybe they're just they're just gonna hire Mr. Beast to be the fucking host of Survivor.
Oh man. So do you want to give like who the least egregious host that isn't a previous Survivor contestant would be then?
That
So I
yeah,
think everyone just assumes it's going to be a previous Survivor contestant.
because
Yeah.
I think it would be wild to bring someone completely from the outside.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan would be pretty wild.
I think his hosting days are over.
He couldn't get through hosting Fear Factor without being
Yeah.
drunk on most episodes.
Joe Rogan would be wild because you'd get some wild content out of it too.
Mhm.
Of him like trying to give players like ayahuasca and shit like for reward. That would be something like that.
Yeah. If we're going community, they should just put Bill Burr out there. I'd love to see him interact with crazy people from all over the country. I don't know, because like the person who I always would go to other than Jeff was the person who he was competing against way back, which is Phil from Amazing Race. But Phil, I think, obviously he's also older, so they probably wouldn't bring him onto that. I would. This is kind of outside of the box, and I don't know if she would do it, but Arissa Cox would be a great host. She's like the best. She's so enthusiastic about BB Canada, and she's gone and hosted, preview shows for ET Canada or whatever it is in the past with Survivor. So maybe she's a dark horse that could like come out of nowhere and host Survivor. I would be down for that because she's great.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get any anti-Arissa sentiments from me. I love Arissa, but I don't.
I think
don't
maybe
know
she'd be the least egregious castaway, like
I don't
think would
know.
be good for it.
I guess Phil Kogan is a Kiwi. I was gonna say I don't know how likely it is that they'll have a Canadian host for an American show, but I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility because of Phil. I don't know if Survivor filming would interrupt with BB Can. Probably not. I don't think, because BB Can usually ends around when Survivor would start filming. So yeah, I also don't know if she would want, because she's like, she got like a bunch of young kids. I don't know.
Yeah, she has a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Going
it
to
would be kind of
Fiji
a huge
is a
commitment.
little more
Yeah.
than the BB Can hosting job.
Yeah, doing like 3 days of press is a lot different than being away for months when you have like a bunch of small children. So
Do you have someone in mind?
Okay.
Or
for
Dylan?
me?
Yeah.
I guess I said Joe Rogan.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't, which is why I never really considered it until you kind of memed on Mr. Beast. Like I never really. I guess I just assumed it would have to be a Survivor contestant. Like maybe somebody from like the fan or press community that's like really well known. Like I doubt it, but like I wouldn't mind. Like I doubt that like somebody like a Mike Bloom or a Gordon Holmes would like end up in a position like that. I think that'd be really interesting and cool, but that's like
I think they would. They want
happen.
someone who like has a name, some like juice behind it.
Yeah, which is why I think they'll probably go with a contestant, because I also don't know how many people are going to want to like hitch their wagon to a 25-year-old franchise like that that like has an iconic host stepping down, and it's like you kind of have a big shoes to fill, and you don't really want to be the guy or the girl who like comes in and like completely flops and basically ends your own career.
Any chance we'd see, a former Survivor, also member of the press, Rob C. He could be a good host.
Yeah, I don't know if he would do it.
Yeah, probably
either.
not.
Yeah, so
I don't know because I thought about him too. I don't know if he'd be good at it, honestly.
He has a pretty good Jeff impression. He just does that the whole time.
I think he would be as good as most previous Survivor players, which is kind of the pool that we're looking at here.
He also deals with every crazy reality star that comes off of one of these shows with his podcast, so I don't think it would be too much for him.
Yeah. I definitely like considered when we were saying before. I considered mentioning him as well, but I don't think he would ever do it.
Yeah, why would like he's got a
Why? Yeah,
good setup right now where he gets
yeah.
to just work at his house and have a podcast empire. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why would he go through the trouble? But yeah, we should probably get back to the episode.
Mm-hmm.
There was our weekly sidetrack.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
to be fair, the rest of the episode kind of like we could probably go through it in like 3 minutes. It's not much.
yeah. Listen, all right, if you go on Survivor, yes, it's gonna be stressful, but like at a certain point, you gotta control yourself. You gotta just be like, okay, I'm being honest with these people. I need to hope they're being honest with me, and just
Yep.
go for it. Because wow, Lindsay, that was
Yeah.
awful. That was so bad.
All time panic because it wasn't even like. I mean, there is like a dynamic at the end of the vote that we can discuss that I'm a little confused about, but um yeah, because I have Geo in my survivor pool, so I was feeling not great, especially because once Geo and Ryan talked to Carla um
James.
and James.
Yeah.
I thought that was a lock, and then I didn't think James was going to immediately flip, but then he did, or like I guess he didn't even flip, but he was very clearly going with the other vote, and then yeah, just an all time like self destruct. Like you can't act like that before your very first vote.
Yeah.
I do wonder if it's maybe like it's the age thing, which just like with these contestants in these newer seasons. I feel like it's always like it's the older people that somehow their game slips up like rather early.
I
Yeah,
thought that was what was going on at first, but then in her confessional, she was like, I'm the strongest, smartest, most socially capable player on the season. Like, obviously, everyone wants to target me. I was like, that's not where I thought this was going at all.
Yeah.
I do think it was good for James because it got him
Mhm.
a little bit
Oh
of
yeah,
camera time, and he got to react to her being like, basically being like, I'm trying to save her, and she is not allowing me to save her, so I'm just gonna cut my losses.
yeah, this was a phenomenal episode. Like Lindsay leaving is amazing for James. Like,
Mm,
I think it's been kind of understated in how it was told because they kind of wanted to hide it a little bit, but like. James went from a position where he could have been fourth in a four-person alliance to now he's at least third, possibly second, because it seems like this kind of bonded him and Carla together.
mm,
And like it didn't change the way that the boot order is going to go going forward,
mm.
presumably. They were just kind of removing somebody from their alliance that they didn't actually need for numbers
Yeah.
and maintaining power. And now, so James is a swing vote, and he's moved up 1 to 2 slots in his alliance, and he's like demonstrated himself socially to the other like good player on his tribe. So like
Mm.
phenomenal episode for James across
And
the
they
board.
they swapped in seemingly Ryan for Lindsay, who Ryan I think is a lot more solid as a ally, obviously, than Lindsay. So yeah, you're right. It really it's all coming up James in this one.
So that was my question too. Was did Ryan just figure it out the writing on the wall of who was going, and because I thought that him and Gio were the tightest
Mm.
alliance on that tribe, even though they were only an alliance of two. So I'm assuming he
Yeah.
just figured out what
Definitely
was going
something on the
and,
cutting room floor of like
yeah.
them going to Ryan, them going to Ryan and being like, listen, like we need to get rid of Lindsay. Like she's being super weird, but don't tell Geo because we need Geo to vote in case like she has an idol or she plays
Yeah.
the shot in the dark. Like we need
Yeah.
a vote to go to Cassidy to potentially tie it, and then we can just vote Geo out on the revote.
Because I honestly almost thought maybe there was a chance that Gio was going to play his shot in the dark because when he went up to go vote, they completely like cut him out of even walking up there. So I thought we were going to maybe get something. So and then when the way the vote was read, it makes complete sense. I just wasn't sure if I had missed something with Ryan and the other people.
They didn't include what you would have missed, so yeah. I don't know why, but they were like, "Nah, it's fine. We don't need this."
I think they wanted to make sure that it was kind of in the year. I think they cared more about surprising the audience. I think they might, they could do a flashback next episode. Might do just like a small explainer, like a confessional or something like that. I feel like that's what they've been doing, is like blindsiding the audience, quote unquote, even though a lot of the votes have been kind of predictable. And then like kind of re-explaining for the people, for like, oh, this is what you missed. This is like the explanation for how this actually happened at the start of the next episode. But yeah, look, Lindsay's fall here, arguably one of the worst rounds of Survivor I've ever seen somebody play in like over 20 years of the franchise. Like I've seen like first boots play themselves out of the game more gracefully, and this was just not good. And then like the fact that after she was voted out, she didn't seem to have the self-awareness to even realize why she was voted out. Just kind of like, just straight up somebody not built to play Survivor at all.
Which is interesting because I honestly thought going into this episode that she would be like a relatively strong player from what we like the limited things we had seen. And then, like you said, that blow up was pretty historic in terms of it was very bad.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like self-fulfilling prophecy rounds where like you're completely not even in the conversation for getting voted out, and then you just have like an all-time meltdown and basically get yourself voted out of nowhere. That would happen a lot on Survivor, but when it does, it's something to behold.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess anything else? No.
Nope.
Nothing from me.
Another, like I said, another solid episode. A good building episode to bridge us into the 1 or 2 before we merge.
Yeah, I'm glad. I guess that our tangents in this podcast episode were at least more on on topic with Survivor.
Yes.
We can often go completely off the rails, which is not bad. It's fun.
I do think it's a
character.
It's a discussion that's probably we're gonna have a lot like going forward based on like whatever news comes out in terms of like where Survivor goes from here. Because like I said, I don't want them to get too complacent, and then like we're staring down the barrel of the ratings are dropping because it's just the same thing each season. So, but yeah, once I started thinking about Jeff no longer hosting, I got the mind running. Some fun scenarios.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be super interesting to see, and I mean it's gonna happen. I don't think they're gonna shut Survivor down when Jeff wants to retire, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think at this point it's definitely an inevitability. I guess the only thing that I want to say is like the preview for next week. It looks like they didn't do any twists this episode, so they could do all of the twists next episode. From the preview. I don't know if they're like loosely spoiling that Owen finds the beads wear advantage. That's kind of what my read was.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully, if it is the last round before the merge, we kind of get some spice that feeds into that.
Yeah, the first person to find it with not all the people on the tribe, so I don't know the X out. The one person who's not there on it.
Yeah, he has to go to Ponderosa and convince Justine.
Yeah, he'll bring him on his little boat, bring him over to Ponderosa and ask.
Mariah, I mean, yeah. I guess we'll see how that plays out if that is what that is. We'll see. It seems like we're gonna get. We had a little bit of a cool down on Jesse in this episode, and Carla took the main focus, and it seems like we're switching back, and Jesse's gonna be the primary focus. Yeah, and it can only be one of those two. We're like flopping back and forth, like, oh, it's a Jesse episode, it's a Carla episode, it's a Jesse episode, it's a Carla episode. So.
Either way, Cody's always somehow a featured personality in it.
100%. All right. If you guys have nothing else, I guess we get shout out social media and wrap this up.
Yep. DJ Clubberlang on Twitter. Follow me there. I can't think of anything I'm yelling about recently. No. I've been actually
playoffs,
I've been
right?
rather tame.
Baseball. So
Yeah,
maybe
I'm a little out on baseball. I mean, I have actually enjoyed the games I've watched, but it was actually the first innings of baseball I'd watched like all year. I guess like basketball's coming back. That's my big. I'm big with that. Football is whatever. I finally got my first win in my fantasy league this week after going 0-5 and being fourth in scoring. So that was that was cool.
Ben's
No,
in a similar situation in the league
Yeah.
he and I are in.
Did you win? Did you get a win finally?
Well, no, I'm in 2 leagues. I'm in one with Brian, and I'm one without Brian. The one without Brian, I'm 0-5, and I'm in last place. The one that I'm in with Brian, I have by far the most points
But
for
it's insane.
by an enormous margin, but I'm only 3-2 somehow.
Yeah. With two
So,
5-0 teams in the league.
Yeah, with 2 5-0 teams. So I'm playing one of them this upcoming week for week 6. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
It should be like the decider for me to like potentially cheat my way into, I guess, still third. There's no way for me to even get second, even if I win. So I don't know. I'm just holding out for the playoffs at this point. I'm pretty confident, at least in that.
Yeah. No, that team's very good, so you should be fine.
It's like a very good team. It's just like, one of those. It's like, fantasy is fantasy. Sometimes you just get screwed by stupid shit.
Definitely.
So yeah, follow me on Twitter, DJ Clubberlang. Brian and I will eventually be back with Wicked Good Show to talk. I think with the with schedules, I'd like to get one more in before maybe the finale of House of Dragon, and then cover House of Dragon. We've been meaning to do more of that.
Yeah, because then I can use it. Well, I think I maybe have mentioned it on this show before, but after House of Dragon's over, I'm gonna do like an in-depth podcast on that called Fire and Pod. So
cool.
Be on the lookout for that, and obviously like guest roles. I'd love to have both of you on episodes to talk about that. Ben, you need to watch House of the Dragon. I know.
Well, I'm caught up except for this most recent episode.
Right,
I've not seen the one that aired this past Sunday yet, but I'm caught up otherwise. So
one of the rare shows that just gets better every single episode. So that's
I've heard this past one was really good. So I'll probably watch it. I don't know if I can watch it tomorrow, but I could probably watch it on Friday. So
yeah, Patty Constantine should win an Emmy. He's amazing. We'll see what happens there. But yes, Wicked Good Show. That'll be coming back sooner than later. What we should do at some point is just like sometime when we're both free, just like record like 3 hours and make like 3 episodes out of it. And eventually. But you can follow me on Twitter at the fake BMAR. That's BMARR. Mostly tweeting about sports. Although it's kind of a dark sports, especially football right now as a Dolphins fan. Should have prepared myself better. I let myself get my hopes up for a good season. Don't do that as a Dolphins fan. Just rookie move on my part. And then trying to stay active, making content on Wicked Good Sports, and then Wicked Good Everything. Have a new video there. It is not that new now, but like newish for that channel about all the various sport cheating scandals that are happening. And please subscribe to this channel. We only need 2 more to get that custom URL. It'd be very nice. I don't want to make fake accounts to get to the 100. I want to do it legit. And then if you're in for some scary stories on the main channel, we have this thing called Wicked October that we did for a few years. I might film one again this October. We'll see. But they're just like funny, scary stories about like urban legends and stuff. So nothing like too serious. Just like silly things like Mothman and sea serpents and the Dover Demon and all that stuff. So I've been uploading those to our TikTok at Wicked Get Everything as well, and they've been doing very well. Got like 20 followers in the last few days from those. So yeah, that's all I got, man.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Ben Sharon. I think everybody shouted most everything else out. And for me, not really, you don't have to follow anything, but go on Netflix and please watch the Mole reboot. I have caught up now on the 5 episodes that are released. I think Friday there's going to be 3 episodes that get released as well, and then the finale is the following Friday.
Nice.
So Yeah, I am a OG fan of the original series of The Mole. Like one of my all-time favorite reality shows. I remember fondly watching it as a child live. I still have memories of that. And when I heard that it was being rebooted, it was a really exciting time for me. And my biggest fear is that it's really good and nobody watches it and it doesn't get renewed for a second season. So please, if you're a reality TV fan, go watch The Mole on Netflix. So far, it's living up to my expectations. I didn't have extreme expectations because obviously there's some nostalgia bias.
Yeah.
Although I have rewatched the original Mole seasons and they do hold up. Uh, but it's very good. It basically states the exact same you know it scratches the same itch that the original series did for me. It's very faithful. The host Alex Wagner is really good. She kind of threads the needle really good of fun but serious. Like the vibes are basically the same. Yeah, it's just a very fun show. If you're into like escape room stuff or like puzzle stuff or like any kind of challenge, like mental challenges, physical challenges. If you're into social strategy, it's like one of the more complicated social strategy games. So yeah, please, please, please. I really do not want the show to be super good and to not get renewed for a second season because nobody watched it.
And while we're talking about old reality shows that should be renewed, someone bring Solitary back. I've underrated.
Oh my god.
I think it was so good, and it's so cheap to make. Like,
There's
come on.
that show would get lawsuited out the wazoo if it was run today. I don't know how it didn't get lawsuited out the wazoo when it ran on the Fox reality channel in like 2007 or 2006, whenever it ran.
I loved it. I don't know
yeah.
what that says about me, but I thought it was a great reality show.
It's like the perfect sadistic reality show. For Dylan, I don't know if Dylan knows what Solitary is, or the viewers at home. Solitary was a show that ran on the Fox reality channel, which is a short-lived channel that only had reality shows on it for in the kind of early 2000s. And what the premise was they put 9 people into solitary confinement cells. They stripped them of their identity and gave them numbers, and they made them do mentally and physically excruciating tasks, with basically the outcome being determined over who quits last.
Are you sure you weren't just getting like the live feed of like Guantanamo Bay?
It's like a step below Black Sites, yeah.
Okay.
And it was great.
Yeah, no, the CIA for sure watched Solitary and was like, "Oh, this is the Bush administration was taking notes."
Like, write this down. This is perfect.
Yeah, it's like a really messed up sadistic show. And I think they made like $100,000 from the winner. It was like a very low amount for what they went through. And yeah, like their only interaction is with a computer voice and a screen that just has like an image on it. And they have 2 buttons, a green button, which they use to interact with for games, and they have a red button, which is the quit button. And like literally the entire game is just like, who doesn't quit?
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Yeah, so
should bring it back.
It's on. There's, I think some of I think at least a couple of seasons are on YouTube. If you want to check that out.
Definitely on YouTube.
Yeah,
maybe we can react to that, Ben. Maybe that would be it's safe to react because
we've talked about reacting to old reality.
No one's
before.
Coming for us if we're reacting to that show.
And also, there's the Survivor tie-in. Season 2 of Solitary featured a very random Survivor player. Is it
like Brooke or JP?
Yeah, JP from Survivor Vanuatu, who was a pre-merge boot and was not really a super important character on the season. Somehow found his way onto Solitary season 2.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Oh man. Well, so watch The Mole. Tell your friends to subscribe to this channel. And George Bush, please bring back Solitary. That I think it would be great. If not George Bush, Mr. Beast, you're towing the line on some of your challenges at this point. Just go for it and just steal the Solitary's idea.
Okay, so there's been so many, like it's calmed down because the MCA has kind of kicked in a little bit, recently. But there was like a huge time on Twitch where people were just reacting to old ass reality shows. The fact that I never saw a person react to Solitary is disturbing to me, because it's like the perfect shit to watch on Twitch, because it's like it's brain dead entertainment. Like, it's very easy to understand what's going on and consume. It's like it's probably one of, if not the most sadistic shows in the history of television. It's up there. It's like top 5 for sure. And it's like easily findable and watchable online. Like, the fact that nobody cracked the Solitary meta on Twitch really blew me.
Could be us, Ben. Could be us.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/wickedgeteverything, which is basically right now just a permanent host for our friend Chris, who streams every day. Just every time I go to our Twitch channel, just him on it. Like, good for Chris. He stayed consistent. He succeeded where we failed in terms of constitution to stream.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I might also, when Call of Duty comes out, I might grind that. At least
Yeah,
for
I'm going
one
Call of Duty. I'll
prestige.
play.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Let's do that. And maybe some Overwatch. We'll see. I'm not good at Overwatch. That's the big problem. I'm like decent enough at Call of Duty to have fun and stream. I don't think I'm that good enough at Overwatch to stream and be at all compelling.
Yeah, I'm a bit burnt out in Overwatch. Like Overwatch 2, like, I'm a support main. Overwatch 2 is very hostile against support in the way that it's been designed.
True.
So
I
it's
played-
not really fun.
I played like a gross amount of Modern Warfare when it came out in 2019, so I'm really
Me
looking
too.
forward to this.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, Modern Warfare 2. I feel like a high schooler again, getting excited for Modern Warfare 2. I would go to a midnight release, but I don't think any GameStop near me is open anymore.
Oh.
Or does midnight releases if they are. I remember I went, this is so off topic, we can end the show after this, but the last midnight release I went to was Fallout 4, and it was me, and I brought my brother and his girlfriend at the time, because they were like too young to like drive, and then like 5 other people there for Fallout 4, and I was like, all right, this is probably the end of an era of this type of a thing.
My last one was Grand Theft Auto on the PlayStation 3. It's like the original release. And,
GTA 4, that one?
GTA 4 or 5. 5.
Oh, it's 5 for that one.
5, yes. Right, yes. I cut in front of like 100 people. Like my friend, it was like the type of thing. I already pre-ordered the game, so it wasn't like I was gonna get the game.
Right.
But like my friends were like in the middle of the line, and I just did the old like I didn't look behind me for like about an hour. And I knew that people were upset about it. After that, I just stopped going to midnight releases. But
That's a good reason.
Those are the good days. Yeah, I went to like midnight releases of everything before that. I went to like Modern Warfare 2 was a really big one. I remember waiting inside the mall when it was closed for that. That was cool. The Arkham City was another big one. Yeah, those are the days, the old times.
Yeah.
Those were. Back when it was you didn't realize how easy you had it.
Right. I love it when they would like set up like LAN games in the store for the midnight release. That was like the peak of that. Oh well, we're all old now. We're all old boomers, and just is what it is. So please take it easy on us when we play Modern Warfare 2. All the Gen Z kids, please don't kill us and dance over us.
I think I'm pretty sick. So
before we recorded, I did the human benchmark reaction test, and I got like 160 milliseconds or whatever. So
is that good?
It was good. It's
all right, cool.
Or I guess it's lower than like the average. I think was like 260, and like 200 to 250 was like a normal range. So I'm like, I still got it, I still got the gamer reflexes, even
hanging on,
even though as an older older guy. Because usually everyone's like, gamers got to retire at like 24 because that's where you lose your reflexes. But nope, I'm hanging on.
Like, screw you, I'm gonna pound a Mountain Dew Cold Red and go hard. When Modern Warfare comes out, get a pizza, Dorito, whatever. It'll be a mess, but it'll be fun.
Yep.
Oh man! All right, thanks for watching, everybody. And if you like gaming, stick around for that.